Good afternoon, class. This is Professor Hill Cook, and I am sending you a video as it relates to your individual paper that is going to be due November 25th. Let me double check, make sure I'm giving you the right date. Yes, your individual paper is due November 25th. In your federal government class, we've talked about a lot of things. I mentioned earlier that you could potentially write about the debate that had happened. So there's been two presidential debates between Trump and Vice President Biden. There was also a vice presidential debate between Pence and Senator Harris. So if you want to write about those debates, you can do that in terms of what they talked about, what policy issues they addressed, what would happen if either party became or retained themselves as being president. So if President Trump was reelected, what impact would that have on the nation? And specifically you, your family, and Texas. And if Biden and Harris were elected, what implications would that be for the country and personally for you and your family? So you could do that. Since your paper is not due until the 25th, it's after the election. So if you want to write your paper on the winner, what happens once the presidential process is over, which it may be over by then. I mean, the election will be over, but whether or not we have a true winner, we may not know, but you could write your paper on that. You could also, as I had mentioned in the beginning, write about the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and compare it to what changes happened in the Shelby versus Holder case of 2013. So you can do a compare and contrast of the two, why the Voting Rights Act was even needed. You could do a little historical perspective on that. Your paper is between 600 to 800 words, so it's not a very long paper, but you do need to cite your sources. And what do I mean by cite sources? You must, in your paper, have quotations of something or someone, some news outlet that either supports or doesn't support your position on a particular topic. So let's say you want to talk about the election, and it's after it's over and we have a new president, and let's say Trump is reelected, and you want to write about what his policies are going to do to the nation, to you, your family, people you know and love. So you may find some resources, either reputable resources. So you would either use the news outlets, those that are considered reputable. You could use printed media. Dallas Morning News is a newspaper that's pretty respected. The New York Times. You can use an article from somewhere you found online. And so you would say, according to, and you would list this particular organization or newspaper, you would cite that in your paper. So, excuse me, your paper must have at least 2 cited sources. And that means you've done some research, and those research items are going to be located somewhere in your paper. In the back of Dr. Newman's book, and I'm sure it's in the online copy as well, he has an example of a research paper. Or you can Google research paper so you'll know how to cite those sources in your paper. Your paper, you must have a cover page. You must have a works cited page or a resource cited page. So at the beginning of your paper, when you submit it to me via email only, not as a Google Doc, not as a PDF file, but as a Word document. If you submit it to me any other way, I will send it back to you and say, please resubmit as a Word document. Not a shared folder with your shared accounts or whatever. Not a Google Doc, not PDF, nothing but Microsoft Word. That is how I want you to send it to me, as an attachment in an email. If you send it any other way, I am going to send it back and say, please resubmit in the correct format. And the correct format is a Word document. I don't want to have to go anywhere but click the button and your paper pops up. I don't want to have to go download it, share it from another location, none of that. A Word document. Okay? I hope I'm real clear about that. If you would like me to review your paper before you actually submit it, you can send that to me at least 2 weeks before it's due. So around the 15th or so of November, If you want me to review your paper, you can send it to me to ask me if you're on the right path, if you need to add anything. Generally, my students that send me their paper early and I review it and give them some pointers, they usually increase their score by about 10 to 20 points. So it's to your favor to send it to me because I'm going to give you some feedback on it that will help improve the topic of your paper. Okay, so once again, your paper, so between 600 to 800 words. It is due November 25th by 10 p.m. on that date. You have the 2 previous presidential debates you could look at. You have the vice presidential debate you can look at, or you can wait to after the election because your paper is not due to after then to discuss the outcome of the election. Or you can do the compare and contrast of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, or you can compare that to, the Shelby versus Holder Supreme Court ruling in 2013. So you can do several things. Let me know by November 1st what you plan to do your paper on so you can start thinking about it. I implore you not to wait till the last minute to start researching your topic because then your paper will reflect that and you'll be graded based on how you present your paper. I do look for spelling, punctuation, sentence structure, which is why you may see some of those comments in your evaluation of ideas. I'll say that in there as well. You may have seen me say, watch your sentence structure, check your spelling, make sure what you're saying is clear to the reader. Those are all things that I'm going to be looking for in your paper as well. So this is those evaluation of ideas, and your writing gives me an idea of how you communicate. So if you want me to understand it, then these are some of the steps you need to take to be sure. So this is just one. I'll probably do another video in case I get a lot of questions. But if you have any questions about the paper, please email me directly and let me know what your thoughts and concerns are, and I will get back to you. So it is a Word document sent to me via email, double spaced, just like a regular research paper. You need a cover page, and you need a works cited page. So generally the paper is about 3 to 5 pages, depending on your word count. If you have any questions, please give me an email. Once again, your paper is due November 25th by 10 p.m. Have a great evening.